Of all the millions of companies throughout the world, there is one that parents implicitly trust, and it's the one they should be most afraid of. Today, we take a closer look at Disney. There are countless conspiracy theories that go around regarding Disney, Walt Disney, Freemasonry, images that are, hidden in films. And honestly, it's not worth your time. And I actually believe that some of it is put out there to distract from the actual truth and some of the disgusting truth of this company. Now, I understand this is going to be a controversial topic, but I want you to remember, I'm not a moral authority. I'm not saying anyone is bad or evil or sinful for having watched Disney. I've watched a lot of Disney in the past and I've enjoyed it. That's not my point. My point is to point out some things that I have found out about the company and to make people think about what they're letting their kids watch. Now, again, this is not meant as a condemnation. It's only meant as something that may be a little educational. Now, one of the rumors about Walt Disney that people try to spread, I suppose, was that he was a Freemason. Now, that is very easily refuted because he was not officially a Freemason, but he was, as a young man, a part of the group called the Demole, which was an offshoot for youngsters of Freemasons. So the Freemasons supported it, sponsored it, and ran it, and it was for more for youth or young people. Now, Disney found this to be so important that he was not only part of it as a young man, but he promoted it throughout his life. In fact, from 1932 to 1935, there were 5 Demole comic strips created featuring Mickey Mouse, Pluto, Horace, and other early Disney characters. That's according to demole.org. So Disney actually created some of his characters or used them to promote a Freemasonic organization. That's a fact, and I will attach the link to this podcast. Now, that should make us at least think a little bit about the man who created this company, right? He was also a man who was well known to be a bit of a curmudgeon and not very nice to work for. Now, that could be said for probably most of your media tycoons. It still, should make us consider that his image that he created was because he was a producing and media genius, not necessarily because he was a good man. He did actually, in fact, support publicly the Nazis. So it's another one of those things that is swept under the rug. He even visited in 1937 or 38. He visited Germany and was very intrigued by the propaganda and by the media machine that was created by Hitler. Now, putting that aside, move forward many years, the company has only they've been as immoral as they were allowed. Back in the early days, the society didn't allow immorality, partly because the Catholic Church was there to put their thumb on it and to make sure that no immoral content was viewable by Catholics, and that was a big deal. So the media companies in general stayed away from it in the 1930s and 40s. Now, by the 50s and 60s, things started to ease up a little bit, especially by the 60s, and you start to see that in the Disney movies. You start to see them starting to slip in, little bits of not necessarily immorality, but questionable storytelling. Maybe it's a little bit more rebellion from the child characters or disrespect, etc. And then, of course, it kind of climaxes with the Little Mermaid, where you have the Little Mermaid, of course, selling her soul for love, or I suppose a pair of legs, and selling her soul to a character that is based on what was then a real life transsexual and some performer of some kind, and obviously an extraordinarily immoral person. And this main villain was created after this pervert. And so as Disney kept going and kept growing and growing and growing, in 1994, you saw them continue to become even more immoral. The Christian right was upset in 1994 that Disney established a company policy extending insurance benefits to the live-in partners of homosexual employees, but not to married partners of heterosexual employees, meaning they literally were not in favor of the homosexual employees. They actually gave them benefits that your normal heterosexual couples did not have. And this is something that has been vastly promoted here in the last few years. just recently, I believe last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, a Disney executive named Latoya Ravano was talking at an executive Skype meeting, which was recorded by a freelance journalist. And in this meeting, she very openly states that her gay agenda has been vastly accepted by Disney as a whole. In fact, they even say that they hope that 40 to 50% of all Disney characters in the next 20 to 30 years will be LGBT, whatever. Um, that will be their, what do you call it? Their sexual orientation, whatever, which again is disturbing. They clearly have a gay agenda, and they have since the 90s, maybe even before. Many of their top executives are also homosexual, pro-homosexual. This is something, guys, that I understand. Again, it's a touchy topic, but it's immoral. It's un-Catholic, and it's sinful. And they very, very openly promote it, and are one of the top companies in the world for promoting homosexuality. Is this something we really want to support with our money? Do we really want to put our kids in front of a television that is with programming that is created by homosexuals? Let's think about it. Now, I'd also want to talk about one of the most famous songs of the last decade, a Disney song, which I'm sure we all know and have heard many times, called Let It Go. Now, this has been covered in other podcasts in the past, but I think it's vitally important to show that what Disney has done to our children is not these subliminal images. Maybe perhaps they have, but that doesn't really make a difference. What has really changed is their messaging. What is the message Disney is trying to send? And almost to a movie, almost all of their films have certain aspects of storytelling that are directly un-Catholic. They're about rebellion. They're about disrespect. They're about you being the most important person, not caring what anyone else thinks. Tell me I'm wrong. I dare anyone to do so in the comments, because it is the truth. And even though these are cute cartoon characters, it's still, remember, your children soak up everything. I have a 2-year-old. Everything she sees and hears goes into her little brain and stays there, and she thinks about it. And as a 2-year-old, she's really considering everything, and she's like a sponge. And so when you look at the lyrics of Let It Go, and this is when the queen, I suppose, she's walking up a mountain of snow, and she's really upset because no one likes her for how she is. And the lyrics go, the wind is howling. I'm skipping a little bit here. The wind is howling like the swirling storm inside. Couldn't keep it in. Heaven knows I tried. Don't let them in. Don't let them see. Be the good girl you always have to be. Conceal. Don't feel. Don't let them know. This is all when, like, in the film, she's kind of upset, and she's, be the good girl you always have to be. Conceal and don't feel. Don't let them know. So she's trying to be good, I suppose. She's trying to form to society to do what others want her to be. And then she says, well, now they know, let it go, can't hold it back anymore, etc. Pretty much saying all of these things that I should be, literally being good. It says, be the good girl you always have to be. That's literally one of the lines. And now she goes in the next sentence practically and says, nope, I'm not going to do that anymore. I don't care what they're going to say. Let the storm rage on. The cold never bothered me anyway. She's like an ice queen in this film. At this moment, while she's singing, she's creating like this ice castle, which I suppose, I mean, that's not a problem, but I mean, it makes more sense with the cold. It's funny how some distance makes everything seem small, and the fears that once controlled me can't get to me at all. What are those fears? I don't know. Trying to not, I guess, please others, which again, of course, shouldn't be our goal to please others. But the whole point now is that she's saying all she wants is to be herself and please herself, which is a very modern mindset, obviously, right? Our only goal should be to please God, of course. And we should in some way not conform to society, but we should behave in a respectable manner as Catholics, obviously are required to do. It's time to see what I can do to test the limits and to break through. No right, no wrong, no rules for me. I'm free. Let me read that again. It's time to see what I can do to test the limits and to break through. No right, no wrong, No rules for me, I'm free. Guys, this is something that our children are singing probably many times. They don't know it. They don't realize that they're saying that I can do whatever I want. Literally, that's part of the lyrics. No right, no wrong, no rules. I'm free. Is this what we want our little girls or boys, primarily girls, singing? Think about it. And I understand, again, I don't mean to judge anyone who's let their kids do this. I'm sure most people haven't listened to the lyrics. I don't blame you. I don't like the song myself. But if you like it, again, this isn't meant as a judgment. This isn't meant as stomping on someone's feelings or anything. But listen to the lyrics. This is what your kids are singing. Do you want your kids singing a song where you're saying, I don't have any rules, I'm free now? All of being a good girl doesn't matter anymore. I'm going to be myself. I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to rebel. That's what that song's about. Go read the lyrics. I cannot explain how important this is. And this is not the only movie to do so. Now, it's maybe the most extreme, partly because the song became so popular. But it's been done many times before by Disney. There are other great podcasts. There's one on True Restoration that goes in depth about this topic and goes into many of the different lyrics and different messages, different themes from these Disney movies. And you can't convince me that they're fitting for our children. It's hard to say. I love Star Wars, though the new ones haven't been very good. But like, say The Mandalorian, I think it's a pretty good show. It's very entertaining. But even in that, you see them creeping in these agendas of tough women and the women being cooler and smarter than men, which again, whatever, that's fine. But even that, it goes against Catholic teaching on men and women. It just does. Now, women are tough in their own way. My wife's about to give birth for the second time. That's tougher than anything else a guy probably will ever do in his life. So don't get me wrong, women are tough. But this idea of women being these gunslinging, bad girls, it's not proper. It's not. Even though I enjoy the show, it's created by a company that clearly is trying to produce content that is contrary to our Catholic beliefs. Not just questionable, contrary, directly against. You see some of these other films like say Brave, and I know, again, I liked Brave when it came out. It's beautifully, beautifully created. It's a beautiful film. The music is beautiful. But when you actually look at the meaning, the message of the movie, it is a girl who rebels against her parents and I guess kind of gets a comeuppance, but not really. The parents actually kind of go back and apologize to her for not giving her enough room and space to be free and to be a little kid who gets to choose everything she wants to do. The message is that children have the right or the ability to decide what is good or bad for them, which of course they don't. They're children. That's why we have parents. That's why parents have the responsibility to lead their children to what is right and wrong, to teach them, to guide them through catechism, through the Catholic Church, and through just basic morality. Kids are stupid. My little daughter, she would eat a gallon of chocolate if it laid before her. You think she has the mind to choose? Do you think a 5-year-old does? A 10-year-old? Of course not. When I was 10, I would have also eaten a gallon of chocolate. They don't have the ability to choose, always at least, right from wrong. We have to guide them. And are we properly guiding them by putting this tripe, this garbage in front of them? We've got to think about this. We really have to consider, what are we letting our kids put into their brains? Again, for the third time, I'm not judging anyone who has done this. I've done it. That's not the point. I'm no moral authority. If you don't trust me, please go talk to your priest and ask them. But look at the messaging. Look at the lyrics of these songs. If your kids are singing these songs, and the same goes for rock music, for pop music, for folk music, just because it's catchy doesn't mean it's good. What are you saying? What are you saying out of your mouth? What are you allowing your kids to sing and scream throughout the house? Is it saying no right, no wrong, no rules for me? I'm free as a kid? What do you think that's telling the kid? I'm going to rebel. I don't have to listen to you. This princess, she did what she wanted. Kids don't think kids are stupid. Now, kids, I just did say kids are stupid. They are. So there's two different ways. They're stupid, but they're not. Okay. They soak things up. They can't make the right decisions. But they do understand these things. They do go into their heads. They understand the messages more than we think. Don't take that for granted. Please, that's the one thing I'd ask. If you look into Disney, you see their history of Freemasonry, homosexual agendas, and purposely trying to pervert our children. It's not a conspiracy theory, folks. I'll attach links to this video. You can look into it yourselves, and please make your own decisions. Should our kids be watching Disney? I'm Kevin Davis, and this has been A Closer Look.